Every time I cover something like this or weigh in on this kind of topic, I get accusations of participating in the culture wars or like stoking the flames of divided people. And I gotta be honest, if some moron like me is what's stoking the flames for you, I don't know, man, you probably got a lot bigger problems than whatever I say. But Stellar Blade is just a disaster in terms of the reception from some people who are very clearly self-reporting insecurity. Like, this is a huge self-own. It is very obvious that the people upset about this are upset about things in their own lives, because this was originally kind of a thing that came up from Digital Foundry, an outlet that I usually respect for their reporting on the technical aspects of video games, how fast something runs, FPS, the quality of it, etc. They measure those things and they usually do a very good job. But they actually kind of took shots at the protagonist of this new game, Stellar Blade, which is really interesting to me because their whole point is that the girl in it is too hot. Their whole point is that the girl in this, and I quote, has hyper proportions and is basically unrealistic. But it turns out that this girl, Eve, the protagonist of this game, is actually based on a real-life Korean model. And I am terrible at pronouncing any name that is not like the whitest thing ever, like Jonathan McBurger, okay? So I understand that I'm not good at this, but this is actually based off of model Shin Jae-eun, which is one of the most gorgeous women I've ever seen in my life. Holy smokes, like what a smoke show. This woman is beautiful. I'm gonna show some pictures of her too, because wow. And again, South Korea, there's something in the water there, man, because the women there are just something else, okay? It originally drew me to K-pop a little bit, I will admit, but wow. And something that's interesting to me about this is that all of the criticisms around this game, pretty much all of them, are not about the gameplay, they're not about the way the game looks, they're not about the story that we've seen so far. Also, the reason I'm covering this topic on this channel is because it's a pretty big controversy in the media world right now, and I didn't really think people would see it on one of my other channels. But when I talk about Stellar Blade in the future, I'm actually going to be doing so over on my channel JayRPG, which is JayRPG. That's in the description and in the pinned comments down below. That's actually a channel where I talk about all kinds of RPG, JRPG type games, and I have a really fun time. It's a very small channel, but I'm trying to grow it, and hopefully eventually it'll be kind of like this channel. So, hope to see you there. This was originally called Project Eve. That's what it was referred to as before, so if you've heard of it in past years, that's what it was. Nobody's actually looking at this game and criticizing any of that stuff. What they're looking at is they're looking at the main character Eve, and they're saying she's unrealistic, she's promoting bad beauty standards for women, saying that it's unreachable beauty standards and unattainable beauty standards. And this is something I talked with my wife Jill about, resident token woman and token bisexual, of course, that I can always bring up to prove a point. She actually was not in this video because of time. But something we talked about that I thought was interesting was just how much women, especially, will hate on other women, and how much these like male feminist people who are like always trying to, I don't know, man, they always come off like a weasel, you know what I mean? Like they always come off like the Ted Bundy like type who it's like this, they're always saying the right thing around girls to try and get, you know, some brownie points. How these people will always attack women who fall under these categories. And in this case, it is a fictional character, but by proxy, you are attacking a real woman. This is a woman who was body scanned into the game. And look, while there are definitely genetics at play when it comes to models or professional sports athletes or whatever, there's a lot of work that goes into it too. Do you really think that this woman just sits around eating, you know, like double cheeseburgers all day long and keeps looking like this? No. This woman has put work into how she looks. Her hyper proportions are how she's modeled her own body with her work. And people are mad at this video game because of how a woman looks sexy. That's literally the criticism, is this girl is too hot. If that isn't the biggest like place of insecurity of all time, I don't know what is. This would literally be like me looking at Kratos, who actually was based off of a real life person, especially in the newest games. And, you know, they were doing kind of body scan type stuff with this. And looking at Kratos and being like, man, I drink too much soda. I eat too much, you know, shitty food for me, and I'm a little fat. Change Kratos. It's disgusting. I can't measure up to the standard of what Kratos is. It's like, bro, that's my fault. And look, I totally get having insecurities about your body. You know, like in especially Western culture, everywhere there's like Victoria's Secret models or like lingerie or swimsuit models. And I understand that some people are going to measure themselves based on that standard and feel frustrated. It's not actually just a woman thing, but there has historically been more acceptance of bigger men than women. That said, over time, women have definitely become more visually driven, I would say, especially in the age of media, and women like a good-looking hot guy too. There's really nothing bad about this. There's nothing bad about me sitting in the theater next to some girl and she sees Chris Hemsworth's abs and thinks he's hot. That's not really a reason for me to be upset. If anything, I've noticed that a lot of men will look at like, you know, Kratos, or they'll look at these like really jacked superstars or Master Chief, and they will want to be like that. It's like gym inspiration. Like, I want to go and model myself after this person. I want to go and try and attain the best I can for my body. And there's going to be outliers as well with people like disabilities and stuff. Like for me, I have some disabilities. I might end up actually needing an arm surgery on like a sheath in my arm that was kind of messed up when I was younger. So I understand people are going to have things like, maybe I'm in a wheelchair, maybe I'm not going to be able to have the most jacked legs. I'm not trying to pick on anybody. But what I'm saying is that when you take your own personal situation and project it onto someone like this is a real woman. This is a woman that feminist people will argue, like, you know, like Jill said to me in passing, they'll argue these things like we fought for 100 years to be able to show our body without being called slutty or without being called a whore. But when somebody does it and they fall under these beauty standards, people are insecure. They get mad. They lash out. There's been so many attacks on this game, not for its gameplay, like I said, story or anything, but because the protagonist is too pretty. And that's such a weird thing. It's just bizarre to me that this is the controversy around it, and then it turns out it's based on an actual real person who I'm sure has real feelings and worked hard to make their body look the way it does. I always hear about body shaming and unrealistic beauty standards, but when you're saying things like, this woman has hyper proportions, and it turns out it's a real woman, that is body shaming somebody. If you have a beauty preference, that's one thing. Like, everybody's gonna find one thing attractive to them or unattractive to them. There are girls who are the most fit ever who don't like super jacked dudes. They like guys with dad bods. There's somebody out there for everybody. Somebody out there with every preference under the sun. But it's so weird to me to see like actual body shaming from people under like the pretense of like being a good person, under the pretense of being morally righteous and lashing out at this thing like it's problematic when you're the one doing that. Something I find very, very interesting is that when a man loses weight and it's a famous man, other men are like, dude, yes, great job, claps all around, inspiring. But when a woman does it, and women get in better shape in the real Western world, this really does happen. Look at situations like Ashley Graham, look at situations like Adele or Rebel Wilson. Their female fan base lashes out at them because they don't anymore have a cheerleader or a mascot that looks like them. And instead of actually using it as an inspiration thing, like if this person can do it, so can I. If this person can get healthy and feel better, so can I. Instead, they just get angry. They're basically like, oh, well, you know, this is basically telling your fat friends that you think their bodies are a problem to be solved. That's one real social media comment around Adele when she lost weight. And it is the dumbest thing of all time because you're basically just saying we shouldn't body shame people while you're body shaming someone for getting healthier. That's exactly what this is. This is people mad because they don't match up to this beauty standard of this fictional character based off of a real woman who very clearly it is an attainable standard if this real woman looks that way, and they're mad about it. It's the saddest probably video game controversy I've seen in a very long time, if not ever, because it's very clearly rooted in self-loathing, insecurity, and projection. And again, you know what? If you feel, unfortunately, like you're not good enough, or you feel like something in my life needs to change, if you're starting to feel that way and instead your response is everybody else who doesn't look like me is the problem, it might be time to go to therapy. Like, I'm not a doctor, I can't give you medical advice, but it might be time to actually seek out some help from somebody who can. Because this attitude of everybody but me is the problem is something that's becoming so common, at least in America, And it's ruining things for everybody. Nobody wants to be friends with people who do this stuff. Nobody wants to be around the people who do this stuff. They just see them as whiny bitches, whether they're a boy or a girl. It doesn't matter. No one will want to be your friend. It's truly toxic, frustrating, and just depressingly sad. I think it's very obvious that the people doing this couldn't find anything else to actually critique Stellar Blade for, so they're finding just some random thing to be angry about, which is very common in the age of social media and very sad. There's definitely places to be frustrated with your fiction. There's places to be super passionate, even angry with things, like angry with fiction, angry with things that have been done. But getting mad at how somebody looks, that's not it. That's not it, bro. That's just a self-report of insecurity. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'm interested to read the comments on this one. I'm sure some people will explain it away, but personally, I find this stuff very pathetic. I think that if you are happy with who you are and you don't want to change to fit any beauty standards, good for you, 100%. But to then lash out and attack the people who do fit those standards because you don't is sad. It's ridiculous and weird, and it's very clearly coming from a bad place that I think needs to be examined, because it's putting toxic energy out into the world, and it's going to come back to you in some form or another. So, interested to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content. If you do want to help support our channel, we do have lots of different ways. We have DJAY123, which is actually our Fortnite creator code that goes to help support our channel when you buy stuff on the Fortnite store. We also do, of course, have our own store, CosmoBunny.shop. There we actually take mangled and destroyed, unsellable manga and comic books. And you know what we do? We fix it up. And we turn it into something really cool. We turn it into these resin coasters, keychains, trays, all kinds of stuff that can go in your home with transformative art. We actually save this stuff from going in landfills, and then we recycle the rest of it. So this is a really awesome business. And my wife Jill also makes handmade awesome jewelry over there, and I think she does a fantastic job. You know what? She's the woman of my dreams, just like Eve appears to be the woman of a lot of men's dreams. And a lot of other people are very, very offended and upset by it. Interested to hear your thoughts. Have a fantastic day. Leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed. And as always, everybody, stay shui.